Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
On November 5th, 1605, a man named Guy Fawkes was in a cold room under the Parliament building in London. He was guarding many barrels of gunpowder. This was a secret plan. The plotters wanted to blow up Parliament. King James I and many important people would be inside. Their goal was to kill the king and his entire government in one big explosion. To understand why, we need to look at England's history. For many years, there were big problems with religion. England was divided between Protestants and Catholics. The king and the government were Protestant. Catholics found life very hard. They could not openly practice their faith. The government made strict rules. Priests were often caught, and Catholics had to pay big fines if they did not attend Protestant services. When King James I became king in 1603, Catholics hoped for change. They thought he would be more tolerant. But their hope did not last. The king soon made laws against Catholics even tougher. This made some Catholics, like Robert Catesby, very angry and desperate. They felt betrayed. This strong anger led them to plan the gunpowder plot. They believed this extreme action was their only choice to fight for their religion. 2. The Men with a Plan. Robert Catesby was a Catholic man from a good family. He had seen his religion made illegal. His hopes for a better future were gone. So, in the spring of 1604, Catesby started to gather people for a big secret plan. He believed strong action was needed. First, he asked his cousin, Thomas Winter, to join. Then came Thomas Percy, who knew about military things. Next, Catesby needed someone with special skills for dangerous work. He heard about Guy Fawkes, a soldier with 10 years of experience fighting in the Spanish Netherlands. Fawkes knew about military engineering and explosives. Catesby saw that Fawkes was the right man for the job. On May 20, 1604, the main plotters met in London. They went to a private room at an inn. There, Catesby, Winter, Percy, John Wright, and Guy Fawkes made a very serious promise. They swore an oath on a prayer book to keep their plans secret. A priest then gave them communion, which made their bond even stronger for this dangerous mission. The plan was bold and simple. Thomas Percy had found a house next to the Palace of Westminster. The men decided to dig a tunnel from the cellar of this house. They wanted to go under the Parliament building, right below the House of Lords. This was hard, long work. By May 1605, they had successfully moved 36 barrels of gunpowder into the cellar. They covered the barrels with coal and wood to hide them from sight. Parliament was supposed to open in the spring of 1605, but a sickness, the plague, came to London. Because of this, Parliament was postponed. The plotters had to wait week after week with the hidden gunpowder. The opening was delayed several more times. Catesby then brought more men into the group. By autumn, there were 11 men in the plot. They simply waited for the perfect moment. 3. A secret letter. One of the plotters sent a secret letter. This man was Francis Tresham. He wrote the letter to Lord Monteagle in late October, just before Parliament was to open. Lord Monteagle was a member of Parliament. The letter warned him to stay away. It said a terrible blow would happen in Parliament. Lord Monteagle was scared by this message. He quickly showed the important letter to the king's advisers. Robert Cecil was the king's main minister. He read the letter and believed the warning was serious. On the evening of November 4, 1605, guards went to the Palace of Westminster. This was the night before the important Parliament meeting. The guards searched the building. They went down to a cellar under the House of Lords. In the dark cellar, the guards found a man. It was Guy Fawkes. He was standing near many barrels. These barrels held a lot of gunpowder. Guy Fawkes also had a fuse and matches in his pocket, ready for his plan. The guards quickly captured him. The king's men questioned Guy Fawkes about his actions. They asked him what he planned to do with all the gunpowder. Guy Fawkes bravely told them he wanted to blow up the House of Lords and kill the king. He said he was sad he had failed. King James I was surprised by Fawkes's courage, but he still ordered his men to torture Fawkes. They took Guy Fawkes to the Tower of London. There, they used a terrible device called a rack to hurt him. After many painful days, Fawkes finally told the names of his friends in the plot. When the other plotters heard about Fawkes's arrest, they quickly ran away. They hoped to start a rebellion in the Midlands, a region north of London. But people were too afraid to help them. There was no big uprising. Robert Catesby and his friends were caught by the sheriff of Worcestershire. They were at a farmhouse called Holbech. They decided to fight the soldiers rather than surrender. In the gunfight that followed, Robert Catesby and some others were killed. The plot was completely over. The surviving plotters were caught. In January 1606, they had a trial. They were found guilty of trying to harm the king and the government. They were given a terrible punishment. They were sentenced to be hanged, cut open while still alive, and then cut into 4 pieces. Guy Fawkes was the last to be executed. He was very weak from the torture and sickness. When he was on the gallows, he managed to break his own neck by jumping or falling. This meant he died quickly and did not suffer the full cruel punishment of the sentence. 4. A day to remember. After the plot failed, the English government acted quickly. They used the event to create a powerful story. They changed the news of a near disaster into a tale of great victory. This story helped them gain more control over the country. A key minister, Robert Cecil, turned the plot into a useful tool. It helped to shape England's view of itself as a strong Protestant nation. The government made the plot an important part of its official message. In January 1606, Parliament passed new laws. One important law was the Thanksgiving Act. This act said that November 5 must be a national holiday every year. People had to observe this day to thank God for saving King James I from harm. On November 5, church bells across England would ring. Special sermons would be preached in churches. People were asked to attend these services to give thanks. Bonfires were also lit in towns and villages. This day became a symbol of miraculous safety for the Protestant English nation. It showed that God truly favored them. The plot also led to harsher conditions for Catholics. Existing laws against them became even stricter. New heavy fines were put on Catholic families. It became impossible for young Catholics to go to universities. They could not work in many professions or hold any government jobs. This caused much suffering for Catholics and worked to remove their influence. The government used the plot as proof that Catholics were a constant threat to England. They claimed that Catholic beliefs led to treason. This strategy strongly helped the Protestant government to make its power stronger and safer. Over time, the holiday, known as Bonfire Night, grew to have a strong anti-Catholic message. People began to burn figures called effigies of Guy Fawkes. Many also burned effigies of the Pope. Children would parade these figures through the streets, asking for money, saying, "A penny for the Guy." These acts showed deep dislike for Catholics following the plot. The yearly celebrations were important for uniting the country under Protestant rule. They reminded everyone about the supposed dangers of Catholicism and celebrated the Protestant victory. This tradition became a cornerstone of English national identity, reinforcing the power of the Protestant state. 5. Bonfires and fireworks. After the gunpowder plot failed, November 5 became a special day. It was first a day to thank God for saving King James I. People lit many bonfires in the streets. Soon, the government made a law that everyone had to celebrate November 5. This was called the Thanksgiving Act, making it a national holiday. Over many years, Bonfire Night changed a lot. At first, people burned models called effigies of Guy Fawkes. They also burned effigies of the Pope. This showed strong feelings against Catholics. Children would carry these effigies and ask for "a penny for the Guy." This money helped them buy fireworks for the evening. The celebrations became popular with ordinary families. The holiday slowly turned into a big party for normal people. It was a time for fun, large fires, and much noise. People met together in their towns. It was not just about religion anymore. Sometimes people used the bonfires to show feelings against those in power, burning models of unpopular politicians. In the 20th century, Bonfire Night changed even more. It became less about old religious ideas and more about enjoyment. Shops sold many fireworks. Towns and cities held big organized shows with loud bangs and bright lights. These public events were safe and well managed, attracting thousands. Today, Bonfire Night is a much-loved event across Britain. Families gather around bonfires, sharing food and drinks. They watch spectacular fireworks light up the night sky. Most people do not think deeply about the old story of Guy Fawkes or the plot to blow up Parliament. The strong anti-Catholic feelings of the past are mostly gone. Now it is a fun celebration of light, sound, and community. The original religious meaning has largely faded, becoming a historical footnote for many. It is simply a night for people to enjoy together. 6. A famous mask. In 1982, a new idea for a comic book began in England. An artist named David Lloyd was creating pictures for a dark future story. The hero needed a special costume that people would remember. David Lloyd thought about Guy Fawkes. He decided to show Guy Fawkes in a new way, not as a bad man, but as a hero. Lloyd wrote down his idea. We should not burn Guy Fawkes every November 5th. Instead, we should celebrate his try to blow up Parliament. This was a very different way to think about the historical figure, making him a symbol of rebellion. The comic book was titled V for Vendetta. A well-known British writer, Alan Moore, wrote the story. It was set in a time when England had a very strict government that controlled its people. The main character, known only as V, wore a distinctive Guy Fawkes mask. This mask had an upturned mustache, rosy cheeks, and a gentle, fixed smile. V was a character who wanted to change society by fighting the unfair government. He used the Guy Fawkes mask to hide his face and to represent his ideas of freedom. The mask helped people see Guy Fawkes as a symbol for fighting against powerful leaders and systems. For many years, the V for Vendetta comic book was mainly popular with serious comic readers. Not many people outside this group knew about the story or the masked hero. This situation changed a lot in 2005. The famous filmmaking team, the Wachowskis, and director James McTeague made V for Vendetta into a major motion picture. This movie was shown in cinemas around the world and became very successful. Suddenly, millions of people who had never read the comic saw the story and the unforgettable Guy Fawkes mask. After the movie became popular, the Guy Fawkes mask became an incredibly famous symbol. It was no longer just a small picture from a comic book. Warner Brothers, the company that owned the movie rights, began to make and sell a huge number of these masks. You could buy the mask in many shops, stores, and online. The face of Guy Fawkes, once connected to a single historical event in the 17th century, became a globally recognized image. It was now a famous sign that stood for challenging power, understood by many cultures. The mask was not just part of a story, it was a powerful picture known all over the world, representing something new. 7. The Mask of Protest. After the popular comic book and movie, the Guy Fawkes mask found a new purpose. In 2008, a hacker group called Anonymous started using it. This group, made of many computer users, protested against the Church of Scientology. They needed a simple way to hide their faces and show they were united. The Guy Fawkes mask became their symbol. Thousands of anonymous members wore it during protests in many cities and countries. Soon, the mask moved from fiction to a real sign of protest. It quickly spread to other demonstrations around the world. People wore the mask at the Occupy Wall Street protests in 2011, speaking against economic inequality. They also used it during Arab Spring protests in Egypt and Tunisia, and at climate change marches. The mask became a global symbol for people fighting against powerful governments and unfair systems. The mask came to mean fighting against powerful groups. It stood for the right to protest without being identified or watched. It showed the strength of many people speaking together. David Lloyd, the artist, saw this. He said, "The mask helped groups like Anonymous hide their identity and stand for individual freedom. It allowed people to protest against controlling rule while remaining anonymous." However, there is a great irony in this. Guy Fawkes was not fighting for modern freedom. He was not against all government power. He was a Catholic soldier. He wanted to blow up Parliament not for democracy, but to put a Catholic ruler on the throne. His goal was to bring back Catholic control over England. He was trying to replace one strong system with another strong religious one. He was a reactionary, not someone seeking new freedoms. It is strange that a man who fought for religious authority became a symbol for people fighting against all forms of authority. Modern protesters use the mask for individual liberty, against surveillance, and for the power of ordinary people. These ideas are very different from Guy Fawkes's original goals. If his plan had worked, he likely would have limited others' religious freedom. The mask shows how much a symbol can change its meaning. It no longer means only the gunpowder plot. Today, it means a general fight against power and control. The mask is powerful because different people can fill it with their own reasons for change. It connects an old act of defiance to new calls for justice around the world. 8. The legacy today. The story of Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot has changed many times since 1605. It started as a true dangerous event, a secret plan to destroy the English Parliament. The goal was to kill King James I and his key leaders. But the careful plan failed, and Guy Fawkes and the other men involved were caught before they could act. This was a very serious moment in English history, one that could have changed the country forever. Soon after, this prevented disaster became a yearly celebration known as Bonfire Night. On November 5, people would light large fires and set off noisy fireworks across the country. For a long time, this day was a way to remember that the king was saved by God. It also served to express strong anti-Catholic feelings in England, marking a victory for the Protestant government. Over many years, however, the strong religious meaning of the holiday slowly faded away. Bonfire Night became more about general fun for everyone, a time for families and friends to gather, share food, and enjoy the fires and bright lights in the sky. In more recent times, the image of Guy Fawkes took on another completely new meaning. This happened because of a popular comic book series and then a major movie. In this story, a hero wears a special mask that looks like Guy Fawkes. This distinctive mask quickly became a powerful symbol. It started to represent fighting against unfair rules, corrupt systems, and powerful governments. Many different groups, such as the online activist group Anonymous, began to wear this mask in their protests and demonstrations around the world. This transformation is quite surprising and full of irony. The real Guy Fawkes was not fighting for the same ideas that people using the mask today support. He wanted to bring back a strong Catholic government and restore old religious power, not the kind of personal freedom, anonymity, and anti-government action that the mask now represents. This clearly shows us how symbols can change their meaning completely. A symbol can start with one purpose and end up conveying something entirely different for new generations and new causes. The enduring story of Guy Fawkes and his mask continues to be very important in our modern world. It helps us think about power, how people choose to resist it, and how historical events are always seen in new ways by different people. The mask is now a global sign for protest and for standing up against oppressive authority. It reminds us that old events and figures can live on and find new life through new symbols and new meanings in society, adapting to the challenges of each era. How do you think symbols from the past become so important in our world today?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.